Hey everybody, welcome back around to the Blog and Grill. I'm your host Doug here with your video blog for July 31st, 2013. Today is the Major League Baseball trade deadline, so I got trade deadline news, your MLB power rankings, and NFL two-a-days with the Oakland Raiders and Detroit Lions. I got a new JB Smooth story out as well too, so that is all that's going to be coming up on the blog tonight. So first, trade deadline. Let's go through the deadline deal updates. Not many trades really went down today. And kind of some odd ones too. Of course, we had the big three-team deal last night that sent Azevedo Garcia to the White Sox as a good building block. Jose Iglesias to the Tigers and Jake Peavy to the Red Sox. Today, we saw Bud Norris go to the Orioles for two minor leaguers, and the Padres got Ian Kennedy from the Diamondbacks, and that was really the extent of the trade deadline today. And some of these, the main trade that was really affected by this PED biogenesis suspensions, which are looming, was the Jose Iglesias deal. Jose Iglesias will now go to Detroit and play shortstop likely when Johnny Peralta becomes suspended for his link to the biogenesis clinic. And I thought more trades might go down because of this, but we really didn't see them go down. Definitely, I think the player that should have been on the move today should have been Michael Young. I think Michael Young should have went to the Yankees. I don't think they can count on Alex Rodriguez coming back and contributing enough to this team if he even comes back. So I think the Yankees really should have went out and found a way to get Michael Young. Still could get him, I think, maybe through waivers if that happens. I think a team that really need a player has to be the Texas Rangers. Still, back to that biogenesis thing. They have Nelson Cruz, who likely will be suspended either tonight or more likely tomorrow. So I thought they really should have went out and got a bat. Really not many bats out there, but they could have went out and got an Alex Rios, a Justin Morneau. Some options out there for sure. I think the best trade of the day goes to the Baltimore Orioles. Getting Bud Norris, kind of an underrated pitcher who's had a pretty solid career in Houston, and I think he could be good for the Orioles going down the stretch, especially now that they're saying Jason Hamill is going to go on to the DL. So I think those are good moves, and really there might be a couple more moves that just snuck in right at the end that we haven't heard about yet, so we'll keep you posted on those. But that's really my wrap-up of the MLB trade deadline. Not much happened, but of course the big trade last night. All right, time for my first two-a-day with the Oakland Raiders, who last year were 4-12. Just a really bad team. They really couldn't run the ball well. They were 28th in running with Michael Bush, and just Darren McFadden just got hurt early, and they just could not get it done. Their draft really wasn't great either. Their draft would probably be a D if not for the drafting of quarterback Tyler Wilson out of Arkansas, who's a very good quarterback. Just had a bad year last year. They got a little bit better on the offensive line, but besides Tyler Wilson, no good skill players really coming out of this draft for the Oakland Raiders. They had a lot of big additions, though, for sure. They bring in defensive end Jason Hunter, wide receiver, kick returner, superstar Josh Cribbs, big-time veteran punter Chris Cluey out of Minnesota, former defensive back of the Green Bay Packers Charles Woodson, and they bring in a quarterback who has probably been known as one of the biggest backups in the National Football League. They bring him in to be their starter in Matt Flynn. And the reason they brought him in to be the starter is because they trade Carson Palmer, and really Carson Palmer didn't have a great career in Oakland. They release linebacker Rolando McClain, and they get rid of wide receiver Darius Hayward Bay. And I think the big question has to be for this team, can Matt Flynn finally be a starting quarterback in the NFL? We've seen him start some. He started some in Philly, that was Kevin Cobb. He started some, never started in Seattle, had some big games late in seasons in Green Bay, but just could never get it done. So maybe finally Matt Flynn will find a home here in Oakland. I think they get better, not a whole lot better. I got them at 7-9 this year, playing a semi-easy schedule. All right, so I'll be back with my second two-a-day in a minute, but now it's time for your MLB power rankings. We have a new team at the top. The top team this week are the Tampa Bay Rays, jumping up 2 spots, jumped over both the Red Sox and the Cardinals. I have the Red Sox coming in at number 2 at a 3-3 week. The Pirates are hot as well again. They move up 1 spot to 5-3. They're in my 3rd spot. My loser of the week, San Francisco Cardinals 1-6. They've lost 6 in a row. They dropped 3 spots in my rankings. And the 5th team stays the same. I have the Oakland A's in at number 5 at 5-2. Still my team to watch. They were 11th last week. Creeping up even more this week. They're up to 9th, and they are at 5-1 for this past week, and that is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're getting hot. Hanley Ramirez is hotter than Yasiel Puig. Clayton Kershaw has been solid. Zach Greinke's been great since he's come back. It's just a very solid team at this point. They can make a run up maybe to get to that top 5 if they can whip off another 5 wins this week. I don't know. So that's my power rankings. Now it's time to go back to NFL 2-a-days, and that is going to be with the Detroit Lions, who also last year, so today we have 2 4-12 teams. This team was 4-12 last year. They lost a lot of close games to good teams and played down to bad teams. That was really the recipe for their formula. They were 2nd in the league in passing yards per game. For sure, they had a good season on that aspect. And I'm giving their draft a B-. They got a lot of good players at a lot of different spots. They got especially Ezekiel Ansah in their first pick. And it's really important when you're a bad team just to try and get the best available player. And that's really what they did with each pick in the draft. They went out and got the best available player each time they could. They also had some big additions as well. They bring in running back Reggie Bush, kicker David Akers, and the Jets' leading wide receiver last year, Chaz Schillens, to be a little bit of a 2nd or 3rd option for them in the wide receiver category. Big-time departures have to be Javid Best. They released him. Jason Hanson, their longest tenured player, their former kicker, he retired, and they released Titus Young after he got into some legal trouble. Big question for this Detroit Lions team is, can Matt Stafford earn an undeserved contract? Matt Stafford got big-time money, a big 3-year extension, and really coming off a terrible season. I mean, he had big numbers, but he didn't win, and you got to win in the National Football League. We've seen this twice now. Tony Romo getting paid, and now Matt Stafford getting paid without performing. I think this team will be better. Could be a wild card team. The NFC is a very tough conference, so I got them coming in at 9-7 for this season. All right, so I'm going to be back on Friday. I'm going to have my July Athlete of the Month. My state of, and this week's state of, is going to be the steroids in baseball. I have NFL 2-a-days also with the Chargers and Bears, so tune in for all of that fun stuff. Always remember, follow me on Twitter at YankeeBaller415. You can check me out also on jbsmooth84.com. Last night was the Smooth Shots podcast with James Bridges and Iceberg. I wasn't on, but still check it out. It's pretty good. And I have a news story up about Tiger Woods right now, as he has been complaining about the greens at the future site of the PGA Championship here in my backyard, Rochester, New York. Also, special guest on the blog, hopefully Friday, James Bridges, Smooth Shots, JB Smooth. He will be on with us likely on Friday. Should be a lot of fun. Always remember, though, comment, question, subscribe to my page. Thanks for tuning in to the Blog and Grill. I will see you on Friday. Have a good rest of the week.